One. Welcome back, Beans Army, to another episode of the Less is More Sports Podcast, the college offseason podcast, where you could say we're less of the regular season, but more of the offseason. I want to get one thing straight right now. No, Matt, the background does not look differently because I am not watching the Texas BYU game right now. I would not do that, and how dare you accuse me of being distracted during the show? I don't appreciate your tone, sir. Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that.
This is like the kid who's got the answers written on his hand during the exam who keeps going.
No, I didn't cheat at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's okay. Half of the show is just being distracted at the perfect possible moment. So
I mean, half of the show is the fact that we are fans talking about the college offseason. So, I mean, what better way to be a fan than, watch a game and multitask? And, it's crazy, Matt, because what kind of ties in with the show is that I was reading an article, during the week about how Rodney Terry is on the hot seat. And just like that, if they pull off the win today, that's now 3 straight ranked wins on the road. It just goes to show how quickly things can change. And where I'm going with this is, speaking of how quickly things can change, Matt and I are going to talk about some of the preseason predictions that we made prior to the college basketball season. We're going to do a little midseason progress report, if you will. And we're going to talk about the predictions that look good. We're going to talk about the predictions that look bad. And we're going to talk about the predictions that, still kind of up in the air. And what better way to start with the predictions that make us look really good? And we cannot go on with the predictions that look really good without talking about how my man Matt here pretty much predicted all of the mid-major teams that are looking really good that are playing really good basketball right now. So Matt, talk to me, bro.
the only one I didn't actually see coming was Indiana State, and we'll talk about them a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, I did not expect to be that spot on with like any of those prognostications, especially when we were talking about like the Mountain West. I just kept waiting for that bubble to burst, and now it's like the Mountain West may have like 7 NCAA tournament teams, which is I like that. I like that a lot, especially when one of them is New Mexico, who I was high on. Boise State, very high on Boise State. We all knew San Diego State was good. Let's not kid ourselves there. And I mean, Colorado State, Isaiah Steve. I mean, it's been incredible. I've enjoyed every second of being completely right about the Mountain West. But it's not just them. I mean, Dayton, my beloved Flyers, finally healthy-ish, finally playing to the level I thought they could. And De'Ron Holmes has extended. He has taken flight like the Wright brothers did in Dayton so many years ago. And that program's in the top 25 now and going to be a fairly dangerous matchup come March. The only team, like I said, I didn't see coming, Drake's been good. College of Charleston got off to a rough start. They're putting it back together now, but there's another team out there in the UNC Wilmington Seahawks who I think could provide a little bit of fear for them going into the NCAA tournament, going into their conference tournament, I mean. And both those teams are very good. But yeah, Indiana State's the only one that's been kind of a pleasant, I didn't see that coming, but they're pretty good surprise. But yeah, it's vindicating because it means, especially in a year like this, where the first night of the season, it felt like James Madison beat Michigan State at home. It just proves that like this has been one of the craziest seasons in college basketball in recent memory, because we've got all these mid-major conferences contending not just to be one bid leagues, but possible 3 bid leagues, and I absolutely adore that. So I'll take my flowers where they come.
You know what this also says?
What?
That NIL is not ruining college basketball at all. Clearly not.
We know that. We say that at least 5 times every show.
Exactly. So we have to fit the quota. I'm just saying.
Anyways. I was not informed there was a quota.
There is now. Oh, Bean's about to growl at somebody at my door. That's going to be interesting. Oh, here we go. Anyways, you know how my Twitter bio says that I'm a closet Boise State fan?
That's a new addition, but I'm glad you did it.
I think you're a closet Dayton and Butler fan.
But dude, I went on a tour of Butler. I met Butler Blue.
See, like I said, so you're telling me that it's not really a closet fanhood anymore. It's just like kind of a fanhood.
Yeah, I mean, I root for Butler as long as they're not playing Indiana. No problem.
That's fair.
I have a Butler hat and a Butler T-shirt somewhere. Like The funniest thing about Butler Blue is the day I met him, he kept trying to eat leaves, and his handler was like, "You can't do that, you'll die." And Butler Blue was like, "I don't give up," and kept eating those leaves.
Look who just decided to join the show.
He heard there was dog talk going on, and he had to get in on it.
He had to make his presence felt that he is the number one dog on the show.
Yes, he loves Butler Blue, he loves Ugga, but he is the top dog.
I mean, y'all have all seen my little TikTok video. I'm a podcast host. Of course, my dog is the star of the show.
He is. Even though
He
he's
is.
disappearing. Oh, there he is. He's back. He keeps disappearing. Half his head keeps going into the background. It's like, Bean, no.
Trust me when I say that is a very common occurrence for Bean. He disappears and he comes back whenever he will pleases.
Bean's having some late nights. Mm.
We ain't gonna talk about all that. Anyways, but we are gonna talk about more predictions that Matt made that are really freaking good. And we're gonna talk about the West Virginia soap opera. So Matt, continue to talk about what the hell is going on in Morgantown.
Well, sticking it to the man ended up working. We'll just say that. Congress filed that injunction letting Raekwon Battle play. Kirsa's suspension is finally over. And in case you missed it, after having an absolutely abysmal start to the season, they just beat Kansas at home. I mean, and now it's like I don't think West Virginia. I don't know if there's enough time for West Virginia to turn it around and make the tournament. But it would be a beautiful end to like this Disney drama movie we're watching right now. But yeah, Raekwon Battle can play. They lost Jesse Edwards. It's just been incredible watching them go. They had an incredibly rough start, and now to beat Kansas at home, which this is going to feed into the next topic. But Kansas still a good team, maybe slightly overrated, but we'll talk about that here in a second. But to beat Kansas at home after all that stuff, to force Congress to get involved with like two-time transfer situations like that, and to free your guys, I mean, it's just like a weird sports movie. It's not Disney because they're not overcoming like evil, racist other coaches or anything. But it's not quite adult because we're not like we're talking about blue chips here. So it's a nice Nickelodeon after school special type movie. But speaking of Kansas, Les, I believe you were the one who were, as you know, my opinion is that preseason rankings don't matter. Just go with the
They
flow.
don't.
But
They
Les, you
don't.
took
Yeah.
a stand on this, and to your credit, it's starting to seem a little bit true that
Yeah.
Kansas
This.
may have a little bit of an overrated issue. And so let's discuss that.
Yeah, because I love how well this transitioned from one topic to the other. Because yes, as you all remember, that one of my big takes in the preseason episode is that Kansas is overrated. They were the preseason number one team in the country, the preseason title favorite, and right now they're not even first in the Big 12. They're currently fourth. Pending everything that goes on this weekend. They're 500 on the road, and as we mentioned, yes, they lost to West Virginia, that crazy soap opera team that we just absolutely love to follow. And here's my thing about that is that there with all the parity that is going on in college basketball this year, there are a lot of teams I think that can win a title. And what can I say? Kansas can win a title, yes, but that's just
Yeah.
because there's so many that can. But if I had to pick my top four, Kansas isn't in it. And my thing is, and another thing about Kansas is that when I looked at their roster, and I got to get, and I'm gonna call a spade here. Kevin McCullough Jr. has done a much better job of being that bucket getter, that closer than I expected. But we've come to expect that with Kansas Wings over the years. You have Jalen Wilson and guys like that develop into that closer. But like outside of Hunter Dickinson, I saw like in the preseason that they just had a bunch of role players around a good big man. And I didn't think that was going to get him very far. That looked literally eerily identical to the Purdue team that got bounced by a 16 seed. So Kansas from the jump, I was never sold on them. And so far, they're making me look smart. I mean, are they a good team? Yes. I didn't say they were a bad team. But are they a team that I'm thinking, oh, yeah, this team's going to win the national title, no doubt, which is what they were said to be in the preseason. And I'm like, okay, pause real quick. UConn, if UConn had fair officiating in the game against Kansas, they would have blown them out. They'd have beat them by 20. But like they could not get a whistle to save their life. And y'all know I'm not even a UConn fan. I still got beef with UConn fans on how the whole Cooper Flag recruitment went down. So like let's chill. Yeah, so I'm no UConn fan, but if they had any kind of fair officiating in that game, they'd have drug Kansas by 20. UConn's looking great right now.
UConn, yeah, they do look great. And my biggest problem with Kansas is, one of the moves I was high on, and one of the reasons I was a little bit higher than you was the Nick Timberlake move, him transferring in, and that really hasn't panned out the way I thought. Kansas just doesn't seem to have a fifth scorer right now, and that's going to be a big problem down the stretch.
I think there's going to be a lot of problems down the stretch. But one thing we're not going to have a problem with is admitting where we're wrong. And I'm going to talk about predictions that, maybe don't look so good at this point. And then the one that I want to lead with, Matt, is that I said Zach Edey would not repeat as the player of the year and that Max Asmus would win it. Maybe a little bit of a homer pick, but we can do that. It's my show. Um, Obviously, I'll start with Asmus because we all know what Edey's doing right now. He's averaging his lowest points per game total since his freshman year, and he's pretty much down efficiency wise across the board. He's starting to pick it up a little bit, but it may be too little, too late if he wants to fulfill my preseason prediction as the player of the year. And what's crazy is Edey was great last year. Really, he's been great his whole Purdue career, if we're being completely honest. He looks even better. And he's setting like more Big Ten records along the way. He just had what, 3 straight 30-10 games for the first time in Big Ten history. That's freaking insane. And of course, the big knock I've always had on Edey, Matt, is that he sucks like defending the pick and rolls. He's doing it this year. Like, good luck with that. He went from a guy that I thought wouldn't even make an NBA roster to a guy that I think could be at least a decent reserve off the bench.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I think the pick and roll and the outside shot he started to develop have really turned him from like a guy where it's like, well, why won't you just stay in college a sixth year and make more money to, that dude, he could probably fit in well on some of those benches if he can develop a decent shot and defend a pick and roll. And since he can do that, there's 15 spots on an NBA roster, 17 if you count two-way guys. So, there's plenty of room for a guy like that. But it's interesting to me too, Les, because when we talked about this preseason, we talked about how like the award is all about narrative and whatever and whatnot. And nope, there's been a lot of a lot of interesting teams, a lot of interesting upsets and everything. But there really hasn't been like some player come up and seize the narrative yet. It's just, Zach Edey's still really good as opposed to like, oh, Hunter Dickinson is like transformed Kansas or Asmus has transformed Texas. So that's a little bit of a part of it too. So nobody's really seizing the narrative, and Zach Edey just hasn't gone anywhere. He's improved in different areas. He's gotten better in different areas, and he hasn't gone anywhere. There's not really any like swirling epic stories about Purdue happening right now, but he's proved to be consistent in the year of inconsistency. So that's his biggest app. That's his biggest plus right now. And before anyone jumps on me, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying there's been like a lot of underwhelming like single player performances, and Zach Edey's the closest thing we've got to that right now.
No, absolutely. And yeah, Matt Painter always said, like, he's always, anytime he gets a chance to talk about Zach Edey, he goes, he always makes a statement, oh, we know he's an NBA player. And I'm not gonna lie, that comment just kind of made me just go, okay, sure. But like literally he's showing right now why he's the coach and I'm just a fan talking on a podcast.
Yeah.
There's levels to this. And speaking of takes that make you go, well, I said in the preseason that if Max Asmus wasn't going to win player of the year, that it would be Aiden Mahaney of St. Mary's. And I even went as far as to say that he would have a Jimmer Fredette type year. Well, that looks like shit right now. I'm not even going to lie. He's averaging less than 15 points a game, and he's shooting lower shooting percentages across the board than last year. And not to mention, we've heard nothing about this dude all year long. That is nothing close to what we saw with Jimmer Mania. That was a wild time, by the way.
I remember Jimmer Fredette. I do. I think you're being a little bit hard on yourself here, though, Les. Oh, crud. Stupid thing. St. Mary's, after kind of a rough start, has rebounded pretty well as of late. In case you don't know, they just beat a team 76-28. I had to get that score right. And they beat San Francisco, another pretty good team out in the WAC by 17 on last Saturday. So after kind of a rough start where they kind of dissipated a little bit, losing to a team like Missouri State, kind of having like a struggle bus moment, they're starting to come into their own now. And I think that story, the book on that is not quite done because, like I said, anytime you can beat a team 76-28, coming off a 4-game winning streak, you're doing something right. And let's be honest, Les, one of my bad predictions was thinking that Gonzaga was going to challenge these guys. Gonzaga is out of the top 25 for the first time in like 25 years right now. And they've had I thought they developed better pieces. They haven't done that quite yet. So I think that St. Mary's could maybe go undefeated into the freaking WCC tournament, to be honest with you. I think you're being a bit hard on yourself right now. My bad Gonzaga. My Gonzaga prediction looks worse than that right now. I'm going to be honest with you. I
I
mean, having
appreciate
Gonzaga
you.
not be
I appreciate you wanting to soften the blow a little bit, but my prediction was about Aiden Mahaney specifically, nothing about St. Mary's.
well, when a team is playing good, star players start to feel a little bit better about themselves. They get in their bag, and they find the bag, whatever the bag is. I guess I hope I use that correctly. What I'm saying is, I don't.
It means whatever you want it to mean, Matt.
And Jimmer Fredette came on during the tournament. Let's not forget. So you don't know. He could come. Aiden Mahaney can come into the tournament and probably cause a lot of noise. As a combo guard. So we'll see. I don't think this. I don't think the book on Aiden Mahaney and St. Mary's is done just yet. But like I
We
said, Gonzaga was one of my bad predictions, and another team I'm starting to realize I was a bit too high on is Miami. I thought Wooga Poplar, Nigel Pack, and Matthew Cleveland were going to form like some kind of devastating big three, and they lost to Louisville at home. So yeah, that's never a good sign.
Yeah, I don't think
That's
Miami. I think Miami's kind of disappointed everyone at this point because like I was high on
Clemson.
Miami too.
Yeah, Clemson.
Clemson's doing exactly what I think most people predicted them to do.
But they're still better than like I think a lot of people thought they'd be. So that's all I ask. But yeah, Miami and Gonzaga, those just look like really bad whiffs right now. But that's the nature of the beast. But
For
those are the two that I would say I probably got the most wrong would be Gonzaga and Miami being a little too high on them.
for time constraints, because we have a lot more to talk about on the show, I'm gonna dive right into our so-so predictions. Kind of predictions that there's still kind of room for improvement here, but there's also like they don't look horrible, they don't look great. It's kind of in the middle. We said the Big East was the best conference. Look, the Big 12 currently has the most teams in the top 25, but you could argue the Big East is as good, if not better, top to bottom. Only thing I don't like about the Big East is that Big East basketball is often called by, games are often called by John Fanta. And I'm not gonna lie, I was very shook when I found out that this dude is younger than me. This dude talks like an old man. This dude talks like a guy I want to punch in the face for no reason. This guy talks like, I mean, basically his whole dynamic with the field of 68 is you have a bunch of jocks and then you have the nerd that did all their homework. That's what I have to say about John Fanta.
Uh, I'm not sure who that is, but you have me as a co-host, and you're complaining about people who talk old timely.
First of all, you are much cooler than John Fanta. Do not sell yourself short. Bean agrees. If you don't
Okay,
listen to me, listen to Bean.
I'll listen to Bean, I promise. But
Good. Anyways, and another one that looks kind of so-so. You and I both said the SEC would be between Alabama, Tennessee, and Texas A&M. Obviously, they're all in the running too to be atop the SEC, but we didn't talk enough about Auburn, dude. They
yeah, I
got some
don't think
dogs,
anybody really saw them coming.
dude. They got some dogs. Janai Broom, Jalen Williams, a guy you were high on, Denver Jones. And plus, I've been high because you're more the transfer portal guy. I'm more the recruiting guy. Aiden Holloway. You know, I since he was a prospect, I've been saying he's the best shooter in the freshman class. And I'm gonna be honest, dude. Auburn looks like a Final Four team to me. I know they just lost to Alabama, but they still have been playing some great basketball.
Well,
The only thing that worries me about Auburn is that they are 0-3 in games decided by 10 points or less. That's a little concerning because if they get in a tight game in the tournament, that's not going to bode well for them. However, they do also have 16 double-digit wins. It's pretty
yeah,
dominant basketball.
I watched one of those against Indiana, and it was like, yeah, it wasn't pretty. So I agree with you there. I mean, Auburn was kind of like I thought going to be a mid-tier SEC team, and they've, like we've said, they've just played above the level we thought they were going to be. I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the Final Four because that's just kind of what Bruce Pearl does. He kind of sneaks around, and then out of nowhere, like his team makes the Final Four every couple years, and you're shocked, but you're not really shocked. It's hard to
Right.
describe. But
No,
yeah,
yeah, you are, but you aren't at the same time. No, I totally get that.
that's just what that's just what Bruce Pearl does. He's a better coach. He's a guy who's been saddled with like all those recruiting stuff, all that nonsense. We forget how good of a coach he actually is.
No, I mean, when he's not taking his shirt off in student sections and hosting illegal cookouts, he dude can coach.
Yeah, we just don't talk about the illegal cookouts. Oh my
There are
god.
some cookouts that are good and there are some cookouts that are bad. I think
What
we need to
happened?
put
It
some
was an
control.
illegal cookout.
Lord. That's which I mean, I think we could go into a whole segment about that, about how stupid that ruling was. Because I mean, how dare a coach have a cookout for his players? How dare he, dude?
He
But
put ketchup on his burger. Suspend his ass.
well, I mean, Jim Harbaugh got suspended for putting cheese on a cheeseburger or some shit like that.
Yeah, look at him. He won a national title. Now he's got Justin Herbert as a quarterback. That showed him.
Yeah, showed you all NCAA. But anyways, for time constraints, we do got to move on, even though I feel like we could talk about this for another 10 more minutes. But for the
We
next
could.
segment, that wraps up, our preseason look-in and how some of our predictions are looking. Now we're going to go into a segment where we're going to talk about coaches. We're going to talk about who we refer to as the mountain climbers or coaches on the rise. And we're also going to talk about some free fallers, or as you could probably have guessed, coaches kind of on the hot seat, might be out of a job here soon. So Matt has 4 guys apiece. I have 3 guys apiece because Matt's an overachiever over here. Matt, go into your 4 coaches that are your mountain climbers or coaches on the rise.
Four guys right here. The first one we talked about a little bit. Josh Schertz of Indiana State. Missouri Valley was supposed to be Drake and nobody else, and now we're looking at them being a multi-bid league, regardless of what happens in their tournament final, because of Josh Schertz and what he's done at Indiana State. The Sycamores, they have a lot of shooting, they've got a lot of great guards, but the one thing that he's done better than anything else is utilizing his all-world player Robbie Avila. If you don't know that name, start learning it now because this kid operates like a college level Nikola Jokic with the way he passes and
Yes.
shoots. He looks deceptive. You'll think, oh, he's not much. And then he'll drop like 30 points and 12 assists on your team because of the guard play they've got there. Unless I told you, I warn you now, if Josh Schertz takes a new job somewhere else, whether it be at a DePaul or whether it be at a Louisville or some opening we're not foreseeing, and Robbie Avila enters the transfer portal, if you thought I was unbearable about Graham Ike and Max Asmus, I will be 12 times more unbearable about Robbie Avila because I think he's that damn good of a player.
Matt,
And
I don't
with
Matt,
Josh Schertz,
I don't think you know how to be unbearable, sir.
I'll figure it out. I'll do something.
He'll figure it
I'll
out. He
show up.
might take lessons from being here.
I'll show up at your house at 3 a.m. and just knock on the door and be like, "Hey Les, Robbie Avila. Hey
You and I
Les.
both know
Hey Les."
damn well you will be asleep by 3 a.m.
I don't think
You
I've
are
ever
asleep
stayed
by
up
like
past midnight.
9 o'clock most nights. Don't give me that.
I am not asleep by 9 o'clock. I am shutting it down by 9 o'clock. But anyway, Josh Schertz, Indiana State, great innovative offense, great all possible world player. Watch out for them in March. Watch out for him going forward. Next up, we got Lamont Paris over in South Carolina. Dude was a former coach of Chattanooga back when they were one of the more exciting mid-major teams we had to look out for. And he's slowly turning South Carolina. Just got a huge blowout upset win over UK this week into what he's calling a Wisconsin of the SEC. And that's the thing about Wisconsin, Les. We always forget about their existence because they never really have any superstars, but they're always consistent. They always play good defense, and they're always there in the tournament. I really like what he's doing at South Carolina. The question will be whether or not he stays at South Carolina long enough for them to become a Wisconsin, because I think he's going to be a hot commodity for a step up job very soon. Next up, the guy who I said during our player draft for college basketball would be my coach, Will Wade over at McNeese State. Here's a little hint for everybody. If you see McNeese State in your team's bracket, I want you to think long and hard about picking them because this team is good. They are dominating the Southland Conference right now. And the thing with Will Wade is the stuff that made him untouchable just a year or two ago is completely irrelevant now. He's a hell of a coach. He's a hell of a recruiter. He knows how to utilize and pull the strings of NIL. He's going to be a guy where I would not be surprised at all to see him at the Yum Center next year because I think he's that good of a coach and that good of a recruiter who knows how to use NIL to turn around a team post haste. And I think since all the things he was accused of are now legal, Will Wade at the Yum Center would be a sight for sore eyes, I think, to Cardinal fans. And finally, I just want to give a shout out to Jerome Tang of Kansas State, proving much like Rodney Terry, even though I didn't think Rodney Terry was either. And I think Jerome Tang has a few less resources. That his run last year wasn't a fluke. He gets Arthur Kaluma, he gets Tyler Perry. He's going out there. He's got a really good roster, and he's proving now that Kansas State is here to stay. Once again, another guy who may be in line to get one of those top jobs at a UCLA or a U of L if he keeps this up. So Jerome Tang, you are also a high riser, even though you almost made the Final Four last year. I just want to give you a shout out because I wrote a lot of doubters, and I think you've shut them up.
For time constraints, I'm going to go right into my three mountain climbers. Number one, and I hate to do this because Texas is literally playing him right now, but Mark Pope, the coach at BYU. Look, BYU is ranked for the first time since what feels like Jimmer Fredette was there. And honestly, does anyone do more with like less talent than BYU? I mean, just think of how hard it is to get players to go to BYU of all places. I mean, that's going to wrap up what I have to say about him. Number two is going to be a little bit of a surprise one here because of their overall record right now. But number two, I have faith in Micah Shrewsbury at Notre Dame. Look, I know this. I know this is a shocker. I know their record's not good. But
It's his
if
first
you
year.
listen to any, do what?
It's his first year. It's never going to be good.
Fair enough. But if you listen to anything that's going on in the program, he's establishing a culture there. And
Exactly.
even though they're not the best team out there, those players give it their all for him. And when you finally start getting talent, that's going to work out in your favor. And take notes now. And remember, I said this when they start winning at a Mike Bray rate, is all I'm going to say about that. And number three, finally, ironically, because we talked about College of Charleston earlier on the show, Pat Kelsey. Look, at some point, one of the bigger schools are going to have to recognize the job he's done there. 67 career winning percentage in 11 years as the head coach, and in 2021 led the Cougars to a 31 win season and ranked as high as 18th in the polls. Look, somebody, unless he just wants to stay in College of Charleston for whatever reason, actually, I'm going to take that statement back because one of my good friends went to College of Charleston, so I'm going to shut up. But anyways, unless he just wants to stay at College of Charleston, big schools, take notes, pick them up. Anyways, now I think it's time to get into our free fallers or coaches on the hot seat. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, I bet everyone listening is not going to be able to guess one of the names. But Matt, go into your list, my friend.
Yeah, this is the bad free falling, not the fun Tom Petty kind of singing free falling.
Right.
But firstly,
Free
we're gonna start with Mick.
fallers.
We're gonna start with Mick Cronin of UCLA. Another one of those predictions that I'm like, why did I say that when we were talking about the Pac-12? They recruited the World Portal, and the World Portal giveth and taketh away because UCLA has been downright abysmal at points this year. And Mick Cronin has been dodging the media, kind of developing his own hot seat even further. And man, I don't know, all the love of the Tyler Campbell era, of the Jaime Jaquez era, it may have just like all completely dried up this season. So Mick Cronin, you are like plummeting here, dude. Now we're gonna talk about the elephant in the room, Kenny Payne, U of L. I mean,
Bet y'all couldn't guess
just,
that.
just earlier today, Louisville scored 13 points in the first half against West Virginia. He started his own kid in a game. He started Master P's son in a game. There are a lot of words you could use to describe the Louisville basketball program right now. But the two I think that would describe it most accurately for people in this area would be abject misery. And with a program like Louisville, we argue and laugh and talk about this in this area because we happen to have three very prominent college basketball brands. Louisville is one of those top brands, and they're not going to settle for being this bad for two consecutive seasons. So, yeah, if Kenny, I'm honestly still surprised he has a job, especially with the way he handled the Karan Davis situation and
Yeah.
the other alleged things that are going on at U of L. But Kenny Payne, you might as well already just, oh my goodness, dude. He's going to be gone the minute they can afford that buyout. Next up, Juwan Howard of Michigan. Michigan, another team I thought might rebound a little bit, has done anything but. We've heard the rumors about what happened with the weight coaches there, whether John Howard laid hands on them. The weird Doug McDaniel suspension, where he's suspended for 6 games, but only on the road. And you compile that with a season that's lackluster in Michigan, with a guy who's already got a little bit of history of like disgruntling the fans. I know he brought the Fab Five back together last week. That's not enough to get you into the NCAA tournament. And I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, it's over. And finally, the one guy who has been fired right now, Tony Stubblefield of DePaul. If you get fired, you get put on the list right away.
Yeah.
That's just basic law. Which brings me to the question: like, can anybody revive DePaul? I'm going to be really interested to see who they pick to try and fill that void because DePaul's just been objectively terrible for like most of my lifetime. I can't even remember them being in the tournament. So, but it's in Chicago and they're in the Big East. So, you're in a fertile recruiting ground, you're in a good conference. What are they going to do with that? What are they going to do now? I mean, who is the answer? Is it Will Wade? Is it Dave Shirt? Is it Josh Shirts? Who is it?
Before you continue, I do want to say Kansas is actually trailing Iowa State right now, just further proving the point that they are overrated. Continue, please.
Nobody comes into Ames and wins less. The Hilton Center is theirs, damn it. But yeah, actually that's it, Les. I'm done. So you have anything you'd like to add?
Well, for time constraints, I'm going to go right into my free fallers. And, ironically, as we talked about Miami underachieving this year, Jim Larinaga, I think personally should be on the hot seat if he's not already. He's old. I mean, Miami went to a Final Four last year, yeah, but they have drastically disappointed this year, dude. They've been bad at times.
It's
See
just
how
so
much?
he's old.
Oh, I mean, is he not old? Like,
He is old, but the way you said it, he's old. Like, yeah, old people can't be good coaches. Get his ass out of here.
old people don't have much coaching left. That's the thing, and
Old people are
that's
the
not any point.
greatest.
First of all, I am a FedEx driver, and I will tell you that is not the case for majority of them. Sorry, not sorry.
SpongeBob said they were the greatest. I'm sorry,
Hey,
Les.
the old people are hit or miss for me. They're either the greatest or they're the worst. There is no in between.
Okay, I can believe that.
Yeah, okay. I think we can agree on that one. And I'm going to be completely honest. To be fair, when I get old, if some of you don't think I'm old already, I'll probably be the worst. I'll probably be an asshole. I'm not going to lie. I'll be even more of an asshole than I am now because I will have no filter at all. But anyways, yeah, how much basketball does he have left? Back to Jim Larinaga. Number two, my point here is even shorter and sweeter than what I said about Jim Larinaga, if you can believe it or not. Mike Boynton of Oklahoma State. Literally, what has he done other than hire Cade Cunningham's brother and eventually get Cade Cunningham? Not a damn thing. So
That's
that wraps up what I have to
all
say
he
about
did.
Mike Boynton. And if anybody has been more of a disappointment than Mike Boynton, it's got to be my number 3 pick, and that's Gerard Haas of Stanford. 8 seasons with the Cardinal, 8 missed tournaments, almost a decade of mediocrity. And he's had 5 stars like Harrison Ingram and Zaire Williams. And he's still hovering around that 500 mark. Jared Haas, you suck. That's all I got to say.
I feel like we're making a lot of enemies in this episode. We're gonna have
I'm
like
here for it.
we're
Dude,
gonna have like
okay, first of all, I think I am making the enemies, and you're just like trying to ease the pain. Like, no, 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 we don't hate you. And I'm over here like, yes, we do. Me and Bean are coming for you.
I don't even know who John Fanta is, but I'm really worried he's gonna like send me an angry DM like, I can't believe you defamed me. I'm like, I don't know who you are.
I know you saw that reply I sent to him, like, when he called Jeremy Roach limited, and then like
Oh,
he
he's
went on.
that guy? Oh my
Yes,
god.
it's that guy.
Not
Well,
that
no,
guy.
I was having fun with that one, but like overall, like my disliking of John Fanta has nothing to do with what he said about Jeremy Roach. Like that was just funny for me because like dude tried to take it back, and I was like, huh, is somebody rethinking their point? He tried to respond to me and said, no, I just want to clear it up for people that didn't understand it, and I just I had the clever comeback to say, well, to be fair, your point was a bit limited.
Oh, yeah, I do remember this now. I don't know. I don't There was something we said about that guy before. I just don't remember what it was.
I mean, it was
But
about the actually we told Duke fans to get off his back and not like take it too
oh
far.
yeah, that was right. That's right. We once again me softening the blow on behalf of all of humanity, trying to make things better.
Matt is a if it was up to Matt, like he would just control world peace at this point.
I would ban sports Twitter. I think like that would end most of our problems.
Or at least like ban commenting on sports Twitter.
Yes, you can post a final score, but no meme gangs, no your team sucks, nothing like that. We're all going to sports aren't the end of the world. We're going to act like adults and be civil.
Yeah, that's a lot to ask on social media, but
I know it is. I really know it is because people are way too freaked out by the dumbest stuff, and
I
or they
know.
take it way too far.
Yeah, a kid doesn't recruit to go to my school, so I want him to break his leg. Like, what the hell is wrong with you, dude?
It's like,
Get
dude,
a life at that
why are
point,
you
dude.
going taken on an 18-year-old who picked a school with different colors? Just calm down.
How dare he do what's best for him? That's such an embarrassment.
He's
Jesus.
not allowed to have an opinion, okay? He's only
No,
allowed to do
nobody's allowed to have an opinion, dude. Just
he
ask Laura
can't.
Ingram.
Oh my gosh. No, don't go there. Then we're gonna end up debating Jason Whitlock, and we're gonna be like, "What? How did we end up here?"
That's one dude I will not name drop on the show. Hell no.
Stephen A. Smith did. He did that for all of us, I guess.
Yeah. The one time Stephen A. Smith came in the clutch for everyone.
I don't know. He had a good take on the Cars movies. I agree with him there.
He talked about the Cars movies?
Yeah, haven't you seen the controversy about whether Lightning McQueen is the greatest racer in Piston Cup history?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I remember that now that you say that.
Yeah, I prefer Doc Hudson just because I'm a Paul Newman guy. I really like movies with Paul Newman. So I kind of disagree with him there, but Lightning McQueen does. It's like the Rings versus Impact argument that we have every couple of years or whatever.
I've never even seen the Cars movies, not gonna lie.
Oh my god! Well, to give you an idea, I don't. I named our segment like Mountain Climbers.
Hmm.
I actually hate The Price is Right. I will not watch that show. I hate it.
I don't either. You're no disagreement there. But we have
Yay!
all
No.
right, Matt. We got a minute before we got to get off the show. So as always, like and subscribe to Less is More Sports YouTube and Spotify channel. Follow our social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Threads. It's at Less is More Sports for the latest updates on the new content we have coming soon. And without further ado, Matt and I look forward to bringing you new content in the near future. But any closing thoughts, my friend?
John Fanta, I love you.
I'm gonna have to rethink my co-host here.
Yay! I'm free.
Yeah, because if you all didn't know, like I literally trapped Matt in my basement and make him do the show with me every week.
He acts like it's a Zoom thing. He's really had me tied up in a shed for weeks.
Joke's on you all. I don't even have a basement.
I said shed.
I said basement.
Oh,
I was correcting me, not you.
I'll blink in Morse code next time to reveal my location. Bye, everybody.
Bye.